Hey guys, welcome to the next challenger. I'm here with my dude Big Shoes and Type 1D. We are here to do a Unite tier list. All right, guys, who's ready to get started?
Let's
I'm
do it.
ready. Let's
All
go.
right. All right. So we're gonna throw up Mime first. I think this would be fun. What do you guys think about Mime?
Mine relies too much on his team still, in my opinion. So like I'd say mid tier.
Mid
I'm gonna put him
tier.
at good.
Good.
Yeah.
What do you think,
Yeah.
Type 1?
Personally, I can agree with that. I haven't played him much, but based off of how he plays, it's like what Boot said. Basically, you gotta just have a teammate. Otherwise, you really can't do much unless you know what you're doing as mime.
Yeah, I don't know, guys. I think there's some argument to be made to extremely good. I think that guard swap is insanely ridiculous, and if you pair that well with confusion and you have a good teammate with you down at the bottom, it's solid. But because I
But you
said the
said it.
key
You said
word,
with
I used the key word, so I'm gonna stick it back down in good. I think that's a good fit. Type 1, tell me a little bit about your time playing Lucario.
As my time as Lucario, he's definitely something that you need to work on when you first start out. He has so much opportunity, but I've noticed whenever you do play him, you're going to be the lone wolf in the group. You don't really have a set area you're going to be. You kind of have to go off on your own while you rely on your teammates to handle everything else. But when it comes down to it, you can be the one to make or break the battle.
All right, so is it dog water then or god tier?
I wouldn't quite put him as god tier. I'd put him at extremely good.
Extremely good. Big shoes.
I agree with that. I think he requires a lot of technical know-how with the character, but just the amount of damage that he can put out kind of just makes up for that. Like, you can go in and just random button mash and still be pretty effective. So yeah, I would say extremely good.
Yeah, now you guys run something differently than I do on my set. I run extreme speed and bone rush. No, not bone rush. Extreme speed and close combat. What do you guys run on that to make sure you get the best out of it?
I see. I'd mix it up with the extreme speed versus the power up punch, but I would never run close combat because it's just too. If there's any kind of CC on the enemy team, you lose all your damage output.
I can agree with that. I personally go with the power up punch and the bone rush. I may switch out for extreme speed on times depending if I need to get really sweaty at a game or not. But based off of his Unite move, you always want to go with the power up punch. It always seems every move that you use after that is to either reduce power up punch's cooldown or boost its power.
Okay. All right. Anything specific on the items there? Because I think this is something we got to dig into a little harder. Obviously, there's a ton of people putting it up here in the God tier. I am with you guys. I think extremely good fits it very well. But I don't necessarily think that God tier is all there just because you do require some of that technical skill. Is there anything on the items that you guys would put on there to make it easier for people?
Yes, I would do a focus band mainly because if you don't have the healer, because most people don't really want to go support unless they know what they're doing, you want that extra health as Lucario because at the beginning of the game he has an amazing stat buff, but towards the end of the game he just kind of drops off. To where that focus band can help you with the shield that he gets as his ability whenever he's low health to get it back, and you can keep on fighting afterwards. The next item I'd probably recommend is maybe a buddy barrier or a score shield just for that extra tankiness, just because he's not a damage dealer like, say, for example, maybe Greninja, who just is all out a glass cannon.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna actually part ways on that a little bit. See, I like the focus sash because I like that it goes well with when he drops down. About the same part of his passive when he gets that passive shield is when focus sash also procs. So you're gonna get that durability with his passive. And I wouldn't run. I'm actually like I run Buddy Barrier basically in every Pokemon, but I've been trying to pull away from that. And the only reason why I don't like Buddy Barrier on Lucario is because I know we've talked about this before, but I do not like his ult. I think his ult is way too easy to dodge, super telegraphed. And honestly, if it does land, I think you can half health Pokemon with it, but
Okay, if
I
we're
mean,
going off of Unite moves only, I'm moving him down to Dog Water because he is straight up the worst alt in the game. I'm looking at these lists down here, and there's just things down here that do way more damage, so you don't have to rely on actually aiming it, and it doesn't take forever to actually proc it. So if we're putting
that's
him anywhere, it's Dog Water just for the Unite move, but everywhere else I'm putting extremely good.
I think that was what brings him down from God tier, honestly, is just his ult.
Yeah.
It puts him in extremely good just because of that. But I would run Focus Sash, and I would just capitalize on the fact that he does a bunch of damage and run Float Stone so he can run between lanes. And I would run Muscle Band.
Yeah.
I would just capitalize on that raw damage.
All right. Well, we could talk about this all day, clearly, but we're gonna move
Honestly.
on. I would like to pull a defender now. How about we talk about Slowbro? It's the first Pokemon
Slowbro.
you get
Slowbro.
as a defender, unless you pick Snorlax openly. But Slowbro is just given to you, so I don't know. I feel like if there's anything to pick from a defender, you're not going to Slowbro for it.
Honestly, yeah. I mean, Slowbro is a good Pokemon when you think about it. Like, just the move pool it has, the Surf is your go-to. If you ever choose Scald, I don't know what you're doing because there's no reason to do that. You want to run that, but out of every defender there is, he's just so outclassed. There's just no reason to play him, and I just feel like he's an underdog. So honestly, I want to place him in Dog Water, but at the same time, I feel like just with the way his moveset is, if you have competent teammates, he could be right above it.
I'm going to agree with that, too. I was going to put him in the not so good because it's the exact opposite reason why we dropped Mr. Mime from extremely good down to good. Is because with the right teammates, you can actually elevate Slowbro and capitalize on all the CC that he has.
Yeah, I mean, that surf can be deadly, but there are other surf mons in the game right now that just do everything he does just better. Like, why would you run Surf Slowbro when you can definitely run Surf Blastoise and get much more from your return on that? Plus, the alt move is way better.
Yeah, his Unite move is solid enough if you can aim it.
Yeah, I'm actually very tempted to go 2 out of the 3 for Dog Water. I'm actually with type 1 on this one. I can't seem to get him to go up when there's no reason to ever pick him. I don't think that you could ever not use him, but it's so situational, and you have to have people that you actually play with to actually capitalize on all of his CC.
If you're playing Slowbro, let's be honest, you're playing in hard mode.
Facts. All right.
Or you just want to be a troll.
Yeah, that one too. All right, now we're going for an attacker. Let's go Cramorant. Big Shoes, I want your opinion on this one specifically because I know you've played it the most. Give me everything you got on Cramorant and where you think he best fits.
So, I think Cramorant fits in the good category, honestly. His Unite move is probably one of the best Unite moves in the game, but the fact that he has no... There's only one moveset that's good on him. I wouldn't run Dive. I would not run aerial... the wing clap thing.
Hey man, it's
bad.
PG. It's PG-13 here. You could say whatever is on your mind, man. This is not the kind of
Passionate
channel
about Pokemon.
Anyway,
But,
what you were saying.
Yeah, I put him in the good tier because just the fact that there is no wiggle room for changing out his abilities, and he's pretty much stuck in like one set of things. Like I tried to run him as an attack speed Cramorant, it didn't go well. He's stuck as a special attacker.
Yeah, I'm gonna add to that just a little bit, just because of what I've seen from other people when they use it. First of all, there's no HP to this mon whatsoever. You're getting smacked by anything, you're getting put to half health. It doesn't matter. What I will say, yeah, no escape either. If you're gonna be brave enough to run Dive, then first of all, you're expecting people to be pushed into you. You cannot run Dive viably and stay alive at the exact same time. It just doesn't work out that way. So I would say that there's an argument for not so good just because of the fact that we're running into the same problem as with Slowbro. If you're going to run an attacker, there are 3 other attackers on this list that I would rather run. However, I have seen a very successful jungle Cramorant, and it is disgusting.
In my own opinion, I've only ever played Cramorant once. I haven't really gotten a good feel for it other than just seeing like how a teammate can play it or what an enemy does. I can agree with the jungle. If they play it right, he can devastate you early game very easily. And as long as he has maybe a good defender to hold him and take all the damage for him, he's fine. But it's kind of like what you brought on beforehand. He's just so weak when it comes to the health pool. I mean, I run a Snorlax personally, and I can basically 2 or 3 shot him after hitting him once.
Yeah, I would agree. Where would you rate him on the scale? I'm tempted to stick with Big Shoes on that one with good and not move it because I think that's a good place to put him. But I I think there's an argument to be made for not so good.
Personally, I feel like depending on how like the person that's playing him is or what item set you're going, he could place in not so good, but I just feel like he belongs in the good area, just maybe on the lower end.
Okay. So if we have any other attackers or any other Mon that you would pair well with him, if I just shove them in front of him, it kind of justifies that comment?
Yes.
Okay. Speaking of Snorlax, since you just did, I think type 1, it's your turn for Snorlax.
Honestly, I would like to put Snorlax. He used to be one of the best pick defenders before Blastoise came out. I would like to put him on either very high in the good category or very low, extremely good. He still has some very good moments. He's not very high damage, but at the same time, if you run the right move set and item build for him, he can tank a lot of damage up front. And then once you get his heavy slam, you're golden. As long as you have the attacker there to help take him out, he has so much CC based off of that alone. He can take so much damage. He can be aggressive with taking that. He can defend you so easily. There's just so much all aroundness to him. If you don't have the right people to work with against him, you're going to be mowed down.
Yeah, I've seen a very successful 1-on-3 Snorlax, technically from you. But I've seen Snorlax just take so much damage and not flinch. It just doesn't even matter. The CC is absolutely insane. Big shoes?
Yeah, I think we can keep Snorlax at extremely good. If not just for Type 1D, just watching him play Snorlax. I've seen Snorlaxes just go, oh, you want the objective? Well, you got to get through this thick boy first and just push the entire enemy team away. It's crazy.
It was absolutely hilarious too, because when Big Shoes and I were playing the other day, he goes, doesn't it look like Snorlax is just about to bop somebody straight on the noggin? Like, he's holding his hand up and he just looks like he's about to smack somebody right in the face. It's hilarious. All right, so I would like Big Shoes to talk a little bit about Blissey.
God tier. Nah.
God tier. Put it in the GOD.
I want to put Blissey in God tier just because it's my main. But I'm going to put extremely good. I think in the right hands, anyway. We've seen what she can do for her entire team.
The biggest sustain in the game, the best health regen in the game, and the best overall supporter if you want to completely put, like, I could take any single one of these attackers on this list up in God tier if I know that they are paired very nicely with the Blissey.
That's true.
I would like to agree to that, but I can't really agree with the placement in extremely good because of the simple fact Blissey's a very technical supporting mon. It's like what you said, if you can like have a good attacker or another teammate to help out, it's great. It's just the simple fact that Blissey, if you're alone, you do not have the damage output and you're just going to lose.
You got to rate them on what they're doing though, not I can see what you're saying, but like if we're rating them on like how much damage each one can do.
I can understand the damage, but just overall, I feel like Blissey can't sustain by themselves. They need to at least have that teammate.
Well, yeah.
Like
but...
I can see where you have the extremely good, but personally, I'd more put it in the good category.
I mean, I am biased. Let's be honest.
Yeah, a little bit, but I'm leaning towards you a little bit too, because you and I play a lot together. Type 1 and I play a lot together, and I'm not gonna lie. If I want somebody to lane with me, it's gonna be your Blissey. That's exactly how I'm gonna put that. It's
agreed.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If I'm gonna lane with somebody, it's gonna be your Blissey. We have left out a very, very. Here we go. Here we go. Oh man, I'm putting it in dog water. I just hate this mon. I can't. That's where I'm putting it.
That's what he makes.
I know
what he makes you feel.
Yeah, I know that's not.
For just deleting it.
There's no reason why it should ever be in dog water based off of performance, but I am telling you, facing off against one, that's just where you want to put it. There's no way that there's any other mon out there that can complete objectives that other teams have already started. The damage output is absolutely ridiculous. The CC is absolutely ridiculous. Its ult, if timed properly, can push people off of objectives. It's dirty. I am tempted to put this in God tier. However, I would like to hear from Type 1 since you are our main jungler in the group.
Thank you. When it comes to jungling, I can hands down say Talonflame could easily be placed in God tier, but I would like to disagree with it for the simple fact, even though due to his recent buffs in attack and movement speed, I would move him to extremely good for the simple fact his ult is very good, but at the same time, it can be blocked by so many things like Snorlax's block, but Snorlax's ult, Mr. Mime's barrier, or reflect, or light screen, anything like that. Something that can do CC to him, he can still take that damage and lose to it, and with his fly, even though he gains immunity for a few seconds, he can still die before he gets into the air, and then if you miss that fly, you've lost all the momentum you have with him.
I very much agree with that. It's so hard for me not to put him in God tier though, because I've literally seen this single Mon come out of each round and have 20 plus kills. Like it's just insanely good. Big Shoes.
If you are solo playing with Talonflame, yes, God tier. When you start getting into games where there's communication with teammates and everybody, if you don't let Talonflame pick somebody off in a team fight, he gets bumped down to extremely good. In my opinion, I agree with that. Because if you can play around his cooldowns on his abilities, and like champions like Lucario, or mons like Lucario, who have the ability to just jump around the map and avoid those high damage hits, that's where Talonflame loses.
Okay. So you are the deciding factor. I think Type 1 made a good call for extremely good. I would put it in front of Lucario on extremely good. But you're the deciding factor on moving it off of God tier.
I would move it to extremely good. I don't know if we're being really picky about God tier, but yeah.
I mean, there's no reason not to be picky about God tier. When I think of God tier, I'm thinking they released Sylveon, and Sylveon is just out here getting 20 plus kills a game. It just does not matter. You're not going to stop this Mon. But you guys are right. I do think there is a level of stopping Talonflame. I just might not be very good at finding what that is.
It honestly just takes some time. After playing him for so long, you kind of just learn his set, and you're like, hey, this is actually kind of easy to get around.
Yeah. I would like to go with Sylveon since I brought it up. I would like Big Shoes first.
It's probably... That's another... It went from God tier when it first came out to now it's a very technical Mon to play. Like, if you can play it right, I think they'll be... I'm gonna have to go with good, honestly. I think that's where it's at now.
Low end good or high end good?
High end good. But...
Type 1?
I like to agree with that. I mean, when he first came out, he was super busted. You really couldn't do anything. I mean, a Mystical Fire took out a Snorlax's HP to one hit, basically. It's kind of dumb in my opinion. But now, due to the nerf, I feel like he belongs where Shu said, in the high-end good area. I mean, even though he has been nerfed quite a bit, just doing the Draining Kiss to slow down for CC and get health back, and then the Hyper Voice because you're trying to run away from the Draining Kiss, gives him enough of a distance to do max damage with that Hyper Voice. And by that point, if you're not staying around the same level or trying to push with it, you're kind of just losing your health.
If we're going to bring up Hyper Voice, I'm making an argument for not so good. And you guys already know this. I've already mentioned this to you several times while we play the game. But Hyper Voice locks you straight into a single direction where you can only do damage for so long. I just don't think it's very sane-minded, if that's the way I want to put it, to know that every time you attack, you are now locked into that direction and you cannot change for anything. So just for the simple fact of Hyper Voice, I would go for not so good. But other than that, if you're going to run Mystical Fire, Draining Kiss, I think there's some argument there for good just because I've watched it completely murder mobs and steal mobs from other players while they're trying to collect.
Hear me out. If you run, this is going to sound weird, Focus Sash, Heal Bell, or not Heal Bell, Shell Bell, and, oh shit. The,
Glasses?
spec.
Yeah, choice specs?
Yeah, choice specs. You get enough durability from the Focus Sash and the Shell Bell, that you can run Mystic Fire and Draining Kiss and be like this weird hybrid sustained damage off tank Sylveon. It's really weird, but I've been playing it and it has some good results.
Okay. All right. We haven't had dog water in a while. Does anybody want to talk about Garchomp?
Oh, I mean, if we're going or dog water, I'd go straight for Gardevoir before Garchomp.
Oh, whoa. We're saving Gardevoir. We're saving it. Nope. We're saving it.
I don't think Garchomp belongs in dog water. I think not so good, and like low in not so good. But that's only because his damage and his passive both are ridiculous. But the only thing that drags him down so much is just you can kite him to death. Like, you'd think with a Mon where his ult is literally 9 dashes, like, you wouldn't be able to get away from him. But it's just so silly to watch a Garchomp try to ult you and run you down, and you're just walking away with like a Cinderace and just pelting him with fireballs.
A counter argument with that, because I don't think I've ever actually seen a Garchomp run me down before. So that's a good point. But to go along with that, dude, level 10, that's so far away to finally get the damage output that you need to be able to get. I mean, watching this Mon completely solo a Zapdos at the end of a match is absolutely insane and wonderful to watch. But when you are facing Mons like Talonflame, who can come in and snipe that from you at any given time, or Snorlax, who can shove you into a wall and you can't move, it's insane. Like, I just don't see any purpose why Garchomp should be any higher than not so good. Type 1.
Honestly, yeah, I can agree with you there. I feel like Garchomp, it's just by the time that it becomes a Garchomp, it's just so late game. There's really not much it can do compared to it. I mean, the attacks are good, but starting out when you're a Gibble, you really don't have much. If you're by yourself, where it says to go bottom lane, if you're not really having good communication with the teammate, or you're soloing, you're going to just struggle throughout the entire game.
Speaking of level 10, I think we're going to start bringing up Mamoswine now. Type 1, if you got something to say about your beefy boy.
Yeah, my beefy boy Beefcakes, the freezer god himself. Mamo, I generally like his defender actions. He has decent output when it comes to damage, but his overall just moveset and like and control of the zones are very good. I like the fact where once you get either Ice Fang or Icicle Crash, you have a decent chance to hold off the enemy as long as possible. Adding on to his ability Thick Fat, where you can freeze goals or give yourself a little speed boost with the Icicle Crash if you hit enemies or break it. He just has overall good utility, but by himself he does not have the output needed to take on any of like them heavy damage dealers.
Yeah,
but
you're saying a lot about Icicle Crash and Ice Fang, but like, my big question is, I've run both Earthquake and High Horsepower. What do you think about those moves?
Personally, I like the High Horsepower, but it just takes too long to use. It's nice to like push people out of the way, but it takes too long for the wind up and that extra little like push at the end to like stomp. The enemy has more than enough time to get out of it. I like Earthquake more for the simple fact it's fast, you can stun them, and you can follow through with something else, and it gives enough time for your teammates to come and follow through as well. But by the time...
Yeah, I think there's a case for extremely good, but I'm tempted to put it in the good tier.
I would personally just keep him in the good tier. He's, through community consensus, he's average. He doesn't do too well, but he doesn't do too bad either.
Big Shoes?
I agree with everything there. Honestly, like, there's not much else to go on. You could make a case that if you wanted to build like a more damagey Mamoswine, like, he could pull off the damage just because his passive, I think it's like every third attack he freezes an opponent. That's a lot of disrupt.
That is a ton of disrupt.
But I think in the good tier is exactly where he belongs. He's solid.
Thank you very much for joining us today, guys. We had a wonderful time recording this video. If you want to see more videos just like this, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. And until the next challenger, deuce out.